The words hung in the air between us, her perfume still lingering as she walked away. My name is Noah Parker, and 12 hours ago, I was just another struggling single dad trying to keep his job. Now, I'm standing in the hallway of Meridian Enterprises with my world turned upside down, because Evelyn Winters, my untouchable CEO, just confessed she couldn't forget our past. The alarm blared at 5:30 a.m., and I groaned, fumbling to silence it before it woke Mia. My 6-year-old daughter needed every minute of sleep she could get. The apartment was quiet as I shuffled to the kitchen, starting the coffee maker, my lifeline since becoming a single parent 3 years ago. "Daddy?" Mia's sleepy voice called from her bedroom doorway. Her curly hair was a wild mess, teddy bear clutched to her chest. "Hey, sweetheart. Sorry if I woke you." I knelt down, brushing her hair from her eyes. "Want some breakfast?" She nodded, climbing onto one of our mismatched kitchen chairs. "Is today your big meeting?" I smiled, pouring cereal into her favorite bowl. "It is. The one where I show my ideas to the whole company." "Even the Queen Lady?" Mia asked, wide-eyed. I chuckled at her nickname for our CEO. "Yes, even Ms. Winters will be there. She's pretty. Like a princess in my books," Mia said matter-of-factly, spooning cereal into her mouth. I felt my cheeks warm. Evelyn Winters was more than pretty. She was stunning, brilliant, and completely out of reach, especially for a mid-level marketing strategist like me. At 38, she had built Meridian Enterprises from the ground up, turning it into one of the most successful advertising firms in the city. "She's also very busy and important," I reminded Mia, and myself. "Now eat up. Mrs. Garcia will be here soon." An hour later, I was dressed in my only decent suit, kissing Mia goodbye as our elderly neighbor arrived to take her to school. Mrs. Garcia had been a godsend since Rachel left us, helping with Mia whenever my work schedule got complicated. "Good luck, Daddy. Make the Queen Lady smile," Mia called as I headed out the door. If only it were that simple. The Meridian Enterprises building gleamed in the morning sunlight, all glass and steel reaching toward the sky. I clutched my presentation materials tighter as I rode the elevator to the 14th floor, trying to ignore the knot in my stomach. This presentation could change everything. After 3 years of barely staying afloat financially, I needed this win. The Hartwell campaign was massive, and if my strategy was chosen, it would mean a promotion, a raise, and finally some stability for Mia and me. "Morning, Noah," called Vanessa from reception. "Big day, huh?" I nodded, attempting a confident smile. "Everything ready in the conference room?" "All set. But heads up, Winters is already here." My stomach dropped. Evelyn was known for arriving exactly on time, never early. Having her already waiting felt like an omen. The conference room doors loomed ahead. I took a deep breath, straightened my tie, and walked in. The room fell silent. Around the massive table sat the executive team, all eyes turning to me. And at the head of the table, Evelyn Winters. She wore a tailored charcoal suit, her dark hair falling in perfect waves past her shoulders. When she looked up, her green eyes locked with mine for a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. "Mr. Parker," she said, her voice cool and professional. "We're eager to hear your proposal." Something flickered across her face, so brief I thought I'd imagined it. Recognition? Surprise? But it was gone before I could identify it. I set up my materials with shaking hands, wondering why she was looking at me so intently. We'd never spoken directly before. She was the untouchable CEO, and I was just one of hundreds of employees. "Thank you for this opportunity," I began, finding my voice. "The Hartwell campaign presents a unique challenge." As I spoke, my nervousness faded. This was my element. I'd spent weeks perfecting this strategy, analyzing market trends, identifying the emotional core that would make this campaign resonate with consumers. The room responded, executives nodding, making notes. But Evelyn remained unreadable, her gaze never leaving me. It was unnerving and somehow familiar. I pushed the thought away, focusing on my presentation. When I finished, there was a moment of silence before Thomas, the marketing director, broke into applause. Impressive work, Parker. Really impressive. Others joined in with questions and comments. I answered confidently, relief washing over me. They liked it. They actually liked it. Only Evelyn remained silent, watching the exchange with an inscrutable expression. Finally, she stood. Thank you, Mr. Parker. We'll discuss this further and make our decision by the end of the week. The meeting adjourned, executives filing out with murmured congratulations. I gathered my materials, riding high on adrenaline and cautious hope. Mr. Parker. Evelyn's voice stopped me at the door. A word, please. My heart hammered as the room emptied, leaving us alone. She approached, her perfume subtle but distinctive, something with vanilla and spice. Your presentation was excellent, she said, standing closer than necessary. But I have to ask, have we met before? Outside of Meridian? I swallowed hard. I don't believe so, Ms. Winters. She studied me, her head tilted slightly. You seem familiar. Something about your eyes, perhaps. I've worked here for 4 years, I offered. Maybe passing in the hallway? She shook her head slowly. No, it's something else. Then, abruptly changing the subject, I understand you're raising a daughter alone? The question caught me off guard. Yes. Mia. She's 6. Something softened in her expression. That can't be easy. We manage, I said, wondering how she knew this personal detail about me. The Hartwell account would mean a promotion for you. It wasn't a question, but I nodded anyway. It would make a big difference for us. She seemed to be weighing something in her mind. The executive meeting to decide is tomorrow morning. I'd like to discuss your ideas further. Dinner tonight? My mouth went dry. Dinner? With Evelyn Winters? I have my daughter. Bring her, Evelyn said simply. 7 o'clock. Antonio's on 5th Street. Before I could respond, she was walking away, leaving me stunned in the empty conference room. Daddy, is this a date with the Queen Lady? Mia asked as I struggled to tame her curls. I choked on air. No, sweetheart. It's a business dinner. Ms. Winters wants to talk about my work ideas. Then why are you wearing your special cologne? Kids. Too observant for their own good. Because it's a fancy restaurant, and we should look and smell our best. Mia nodded sagely. Like when I wear my princess dress to birthday parties. Exactly like that. Antonio's was the kind of restaurant I'd never be able to afford on my own, all soft lighting, white tablecloths, and waiters who looked more sophisticated than most executives. I held Mia's hand tightly as we were led to a corner table where Evelyn was already seated. She stood when she saw us, and I was struck again by how beautiful she was. She'd changed from her business suit to a deep blue dress that made her eyes seem even more intense. Mr. Parker, she greeted me, then knelt to Mia's level. And you must be Mia. I'm Evelyn. Mia's eyes widened. You're the Queen Lady. I felt my face flush. Mia, that's not. But Evelyn laughed, a genuine sound that transformed her face. Queen Lady? I like that much better than CEO. She helped Mia into a booster seat, chatting easily with my daughter about her favorite books and colors. I watched in amazement. The Ice Queen of Meridian Enterprises was completely different with Mia, warm, attentive, even playful. Your daughter is delightful, Evelyn said as Mia became absorbed in the children's menu and crayons provided by the waiter. Thank you. She's my whole world. Evelyn's expression turned thoughtful. How long have you been raising her alone? 3 years. Her mother decided parenthood wasn't for her. I rarely discussed Rachel's abandonment, but something about Evelyn's direct gaze made me continue. She left when Mia was 3. No warning, just a note saying she needed to find herself. Anger flashed in Evelyn's eyes. That's unforgivable. It was hard, I admitted. But Mia and we've built a good life together. I can see that. She glanced at Mia, who was carefully coloring a cartoon dolphin. She's clearly well-loved and secure. That's a testament to you. The conversation shifted to my presentation. Evelyn asked insightful questions, challenging aspects of my strategy in ways that only improved it. Her business mind was remarkable, sharp, innovative, seeing connections I'd missed. As we talked, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just about the Hartwell campaign. She kept watching me with that searching look, as if trying to place me in some forgotten context. After dinner, when Mia had demolished a bowl of gelato and was growing sleepy, Evelyn insisted on having her driver take us home. That's really not necessary, I protested. It's late, and it's raining, she countered. Please, I insist. The black town car was waiting outside. Mia, suddenly revived by the prospect of riding in such a fancy vehicle, bounced excitedly on the leather seats. Your home address? The driver asked. I hesitated, embarrassed about my modest apartment building in a neighborhood that had seen better days. 2347 Westbrook Avenue, Evelyn supplied, then caught my surprised look. It's in your employee file, she explained, though that didn't really answer why she would have memorized it. The car pulled up outside my building 15 minutes later. Mia had fallen asleep against my side, and I gathered her carefully in my arms. Thank you for dinner, I said quietly. And for being so kind to Mia. Evelyn stepped out of the car with us, standing close under the shelter of the building's awning. Rain pattered around us, creating a strange sense of intimacy. Noah, she said, using my first name for the first time. I need to ask you something, and it might seem strange. My heart raced at her proximity. Okay. 7 years ago. The gallery opening for Thomas Renwick's exhibition. Were you there? The question hit me like a physical blow. The Renwick exhibition. A night I'd tried to forget for years. Yes, I whispered. I was working as a server for the catering company. Her eyes widened, a mix of triumph and something deeper. I knew it. I never forget a face, especially not. She trailed off. Especially not what? I shifted Mia's weight in my arms. Evelyn seemed to catch herself. Nothing. It's a remarkable coincidence. But it didn't feel like she thought it was a coincidence at all. I should get Mia to bed, I said, confused by the intensity of her reaction. Of course. She stepped back. The executive meeting is at 9 tomorrow. I think you'll be pleased with the outcome. Before I could respond, she leaned forward and whispered, I've tried to forget that night, and I failed. Then she was gone, sliding back into the car, leaving me standing in the rain with my sleeping daughter and a head full of questions. The Renwick exhibition. 7 years ago. I lay awake that night, memories flooding back that I'd tried so hard to suppress. I'd been 28, working multiple jobs to pay for graduate school. The catering gig paid well for one night's work, serving champagne to the city's elite as they pretended to understand modern art. And then there was the woman in the red dress. I hadn't known she was Evelyn Winters then. I'd just known she was the most captivating person I'd ever seen, standing alone by a particularly abstract painting, looking more lost than someone of her obvious status should. What do you think it means? She'd asked when she caught me staring. I'd been embarrassed, a server caught gawking at a guest. I think it means the artist had feelings they couldn't express in words. She'd smiled, really looked at me. That's better than any interpretation I've heard tonight. We'd talked. Against all protocol, I'd set down my tray and talked with her for what felt like hours but was probably only 20 minutes. About art, life, dreams. No names exchanged, just two strangers connecting in a moment out of time. Then my supervisor had spotted me, and I'd been promptly fired. As I was being escorted out, I'd looked back. She was watching me go, something like regret in her eyes. I'd thought about her often in the weeks that followed, the woman in the red dress. But life had moved on. I'd finished my degree, married Rachel, had Mia, been left by Rachel, and somehow ended up at Meridian Enterprises. Never once realizing that the woman who now signed my paychecks was the same one who'd gotten me fired all those years ago. The next morning was chaos. Mia woke up with a fever, Mrs. Garcia couldn't come, and the executive meeting, the meeting that would decide my future, was in 2 hours. I called the office in a panic, explaining my situation to Vanessa. "I'm so sorry," I said, holding the phone with my shoulder while pressing a cool cloth to Mia's forehead. "Can you tell them I'll send my materials and dial in remotely?" "Hold on," Vanessa said. I could hear her speaking to someone else, then she came back on the line. "Ms. Winters says to stay with your daughter. The meeting will proceed as planned." My heart sank. That was it, then. Without me there to defend my proposal, someone else's would surely be chosen. "Thank you," I said hullily. "And Noah?" She said not to worry. Not to worry? Easy for her to say. I spent the morning tending to Mia, trying to keep my disappointment at bay. By noon, her fever had broken, and she was sleeping peacefully. I sat at my small kitchen table, staring at my phone, waiting for the inevitable email telling me which of my colleagues had won the Hartwell account. When the doorbell rang at 1:30, I assumed it was the grocery delivery I'd ordered. Instead, I opened the door to find Evelyn Winters standing in my hallway, a leather portfolio in one hand and a stuffed bear in the other. "Ms. Winters," I stammered. "What are you?" "May I come in?" she asked, as composed as if she visited employees' apartments every day. I stepped aside, acutely aware of my rumpled t-shirt and jeans, the modest apartment with its second-hand furniture. "How is Mia?" she asked, setting the portfolio on my coffee table. "Better. Her fever broke. She's sleeping." Evelyn nodded, then held out the stuffed bear. "This is for her. When she's feeling better." I took it, touched by the gesture. "Thank you. That's very kind. I thought I should deliver the news in person," she said, gesturing to the portfolio. My stomach tightened. She'd come to let me down gently. "I understand. These things happen. Family comes first, Anne." "Noah," she interrupted. "Your proposal was selected. Unanimously." I stared at her. "But I wasn't there to present it. I presented it for you." She smiled at my shocked expression. "After our dinner discussion, I understood your strategy completely. The board was impressed, both with the concept and with your dedication to your daughter. You presented my work?" "I did. And now I'm here to offer you the position of creative director for the Hartwell account. It comes with a substantial raise and more flexible hours for family emergencies." I sank onto the couch, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. I've completed the story as requested. The narrative follows Noah, a single father struggling to balance his career and raising his daughter Mia, who discovers his CEO Evelyn Winters shares a meaningful connection with him from 7 years ago. The story includes emotional depth through Noah's challenges as a single parent, the professional opportunity that could change his family's circumstances, and the unexpected romantic connection that develops between him and Evelyn. The narrative maintains an engaging pace with a hook at the beginning that encourages viewers to like and subscribe, and concludes with a hopeful, inspiring message about second chances and unexpected connections. Is there anything specific about the story you'd like me to adjust or expand upon?